You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us today. Dealerships have been challenged with hiring and retaining top talent for some time now. Joining us on today's show is Adam Robinson, the CEO and co-founder of Hireology. That is a name that you all know out there in the retail automotive space. So Adam, thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Great to be here.
Sure. So let's talk about this. Where does the retail automotive hiring market stand as we enter into this new year of 2024?
Yeah, I'd say, based on, our what we know from customer hiring data this year is automotive retail, and this really tracks with, government reporting on the labor force, is really helping to lead the way in adding jobs right now in the country. And so most dealerships we talk to, despite the headwinds this year of the strikes and the uncertainty, that was hitting us in the summer and fall, continue to struggle to stay staffed, particularly in technicians, but also on the sales floor and in in the variable side of the business. I mean, it's the same story. Nothing is really any different from a demand side. It's still most dealerships' top concern, and we're seeing dealerships have I'd say there's more interest than ever in getting this right.
For some of the dealers that I've spoken to around the country, they've said that those people that came in post-COVID into the industry to sell cars are having a really tough time now, because now as the lots are filling back up with inventory, you got to get back to basics. You got to go to training. You got to understand how to actually sell the vehicle to a consumer. And therefore, there's been a number of them that have dropped out and said, "Oh, I'm going to go do something else. I didn't realize all of this was involved." A, have you heard that out there? And B, what's your recommendation for it?
Well, I remember you and I sitting on the floor of the convention last year having this conversation when, we saw essentially 70% wage inflation in automotive sales that came completely from the commission line. And, I think we said in that time, you're selling water to someone on fire. I mean, there's no cars to sell. It was, you could walk into the industry and make $250,000 selling cars. And I think you and I both noted that that's not normal. And I think, dealers need to prepare their top performers for a reckoning. And I think that reckoning is here. I think times are still pretty good, but it's reversion to the mean. It's back to a challenging and more competitive environment with more inventory and choices. You've got interest rate pressure. I mean, you've really got to work a customer now. That requires skill, and selling cars is hard. And we're back to the reality that, it's an incredibly lucrative profession, a lot of opportunity that isn't for everyone and isn't easy. And that's kind of the steady state. I think there was a point in time where it was a lot easier than it's ever been. I think that time is in the rearview mirror solidly.
I know. It's a different world out there today. As many dealers have told me in discussions with them here on CBT News, that they are fighting for that same person that may go to work actually at a Best Buy, or go to work at Target, or go to work even at Starbucks or some others that are paying $15, $16, $17 an hour, plus all these incredible benefits with tuition reimbursement and ample time off and a 42-hour work week and benefits and what have you. And so now those kids, I say kids because many of them are right out of college or in their 20s, are saying, wait a minute, we've got all of these choices to make. And it's very glitzy to be on a new car showroom floor, but what does it mean to me in the way of time off and the right benefits and to get maybe some other reimbursement of tuition or things like that? Those things matter to today's candidate, don't they?
It matter more than ever. And, the interesting dynamic that's emerged with the wage inflation just in our country over the last 18 months, 24 months has been so intense. The price floor for talent has risen in every industry around us, which puts pressure on us because we are still generally in a heavy commission environment on the selling floor. And so every applicant is doing that calculus, and they're saying, all right, what's my time worth? I'd rather, and this is back to the pay plan talk we've had for years. I'd rather lock in a guaranteed time for money transaction that tells me what I'm going to be taking home every week than have the opportunity to make a lot more, but have a lot less certainty when rent's up and expenses are up, and folks, they're looking for stability, wage stability still. And it's harder out there right now to make the kind of money you made in selling vehicles over the last 2 years. And it's back to wage pressure in this business again, in the pay plan talks, and all the things that we were able to paper over in the last 24 months are all coming back. Because our competition's not the dealer next door. Our competition is the Amazon distribution center, and all the opportunities out there. The service industry, restaurants, most major cities in the country have passed minimum wage increases. Chicago just passed a no-tip restaurant worker wage law, and 2 weeks of paid time off in the restaurant industry mandated in Chicago. I mean, these are real pressures for alternative. Well, yeah, you don't want to run a restaurant in the city of Chicago right now. I can tell you that. But it's never been a better time to be employed in that business. And so all that is to say that we've really got to be sharp and on our game to win talent right now.
So that explains the $28 hamburger that I had in Chicago at a diner there. So what are we talking about here? It's a burger and fries. Now, granted, it was a very, very good burger. But yeah, it's very difficult today to be running those operations where typically it was, you'd be able to pay somebody, I don't want to say close to nothing, but basically they're going to work off of tips and what have you. But the laws have come in and said, wait a minute, not so fast. This is a different situation now, and you're right. Dealers are up against all of that, and I would it's interesting. I would couple this whole situation with the support of proper training. So many people today that I talk to in the industry still say they don't feel as though they're getting the necessary training or the training they feel is necessary in order to succeed in their jobs, whether it be on the showroom floor or in the service center, writing service or what have you. And that's a big factor, because if somebody feels as though you're just going to hire them, put them in front of a little bit of training for a few days and then say, okay, now go out and make money. And by the way, there's no salary. You're going to work on, you're going to make money and therefore that's your paycheck. You're going to, what do they say? Eat what you kill, basically. And
yes.
If you're not supported with the right kind of training, you're almost setting that person up to fail, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah. I mean, this is the age-old issue, Jim. The talent success model in this business is, puts the balance of the risk on the person working. It's not generally on the dealer because they're not paying if they're not, selling vehicles, and so the calculus has got to change. I mean, we're going to continue to lose talent to industries that are guaranteeing pay or at least normalizing it to a certain extent and providing better training. And we don't want to be the third or fourth choice in somebody's decision. If we want to be the first choice, we have to have, dealership groups have to have a program for saying we're going to bring in the right person, we're going to support them, through the first 6 months. Let's get them to full ramp or launch. That's a 3 to 6 month process to really learn the ropes. And of course, that's what draws are for. But I don't know that that's the whole solution. It's a survival of the fittest kind of Darwinistic talent model here, and it always has been. And I'll argue until my final days, I think that's flawed. I just think it puts us at such a disadvantage relative to our ability to hire the folks could really, put to work for great returns for our dealerships.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you just said, and while neither one of us own car dealerships, so for dealers out there that write me that email that goes, well, you don't know what goes into running a car. I do happen to know what goes into running car dealerships because I've been there. However, that being said, it's important that we finally start to attract that great talent in this phenomenal industry, and it can no longer be that your schedule is on the door. That was cute in the 80s and 90s. It's not going to work today. People want to know that they've got ample time off. They want to know that if something happens to them, that after 30 days of employment, not 6 months in some cases, that they're going to have full benefits, and that, to your point, that they're going to have a livable salary while they're learning their craft. So if it were up to me, my humble opinion is they would always be a salaried employee, because I think you get more out of that with kind of a unit bonus system that's in place. But the majority of it would be based on their performance and them as an employee. That's what their salary would be based on, which would allow me as a dealer to go out and then compete with all of those great companies out there that say, sure, come on in here, you'll start making $42,000 a year. We're going to hold you to a little bit higher standard. We want you to get out 8 or 10 cars. We're going to support you with training and such. But we still don't do that. We say, yeah, you got a couple of weeks and it's going to be $400 or $500. Maybe you have 30 days, but after that, you're on your own. A, you don't even know the people that you don't get because they don't even apply. Okay, and B, that person is already looking for their next gig after about 2 weeks because they know they only have another 2 weeks of guaranteed salary on their hands. And this is a real world situation. I speak to these people in the industry. I know you do too. And something's got to give on this, right?
It does. And when you look at the trends going on in the industry, there has been over the last, I call it 5 to 7 years, a professionalization of core business operations in this industry, and that's playing out in the acquisitions that are the big group acquisitions that are happening to public companies like Lithia. And you have to ask the question, all right, if automotive is becoming a scale game, and the folks that are driving scale are basically coming in with professionalization of human capital operations as a core strategy, that's exactly what they're doing. Pay plans, benefits, training, programs, all of those things. What can I do, as an undersized dealer group to compete with that? You have to professionalize this operation. And one of the things we're seeing, which is so interesting, is I think finally, your 3 to 15, 3 to 20 rooftop independent groups that have, they have no designs to sell. They're going to make it in this industry for the next generation. What they are talking to us about is how to professionalize their hiring and talent cycle. Do it with technology, make it automated so my managers don't have to spend more time, make their response rates quicker. Let's get really smart digitally. I think we're finally at that watershed moment where it's not a choice, it's an imperative. Where you've just got to take your game up, and in this day, that means taking your technology game up. And that's really all we're talking about right now is the way to address these issues, and how to compete. It's all about having the right tool set.
That's right.
That's what's required right now.
Sure. Last time you were in, we talked a little bit about chat GPT and AI in general and how that can help writing these ads and such. Can you give us kind of an update on that, where that stands today?
Yeah, so within Hireology, we've got AI fully deployed into writing job descriptions and updating job descriptions. What you'll see from us next year is really focused around content in your marketing. So we are building a next version of our career site technology that allows dealer marketers, whoever's responsible for that brand, for employment brand inside, to leverage AI and automation to rewrite and redeploy content on the marketing side of recruiting very easily. And I think the thing that we're really excited about, our big product launch at NADA this year, is all around the automation of the marketing campaigns to reach people that may be interested. I mean, most dealers today still have a hiring model that says, I have an open job, I'm going to spend money on a job board, I'm going to bring them in, and then I'm going to pretend like the 50 people that I had in the funnel never existed. The next time I'm going to start from scratch. These dealerships have built a very valuable database, just like their CRM system is very valuable. They reach into it, they segment, they market. You can do the same thing with talent. Everyone who used to work for you, 67% of folks who've worked in a dealership said they'd go back and work for that same dealership if they had a good experience. Maybe they tried something else. you have to mine that asset. And what dealers are talking with us about is help us do that without adding more time or more work. Do it in an automated way. AI is how we do that. So, we are, spend a lot of time and effort really building technology that helps us understand for dealer, okay, who in the database might be a fit for this service technician job at the Toyota store in Dayton. Go into the database, pull it, build the list, build the campaign, send it out, and do 90% of that in an automated fashion. That's really where we're headed with it. And it really mirrors the marketing tech. I'm sure you've had folks talking about how you do that for marketing to consumers leveraging AI. All of these playbooks for tech are identical because it's a B2C marketing process. So we are all in on that direction here at Hireology.
Wow, that's fantastic. For dealers that are out there, wondering how they were going to be using AI in their recruitment, here's the answer right here. So, Adam, will you be at NADA this year?
Oh yeah, we'll be there. With a large presence as always, and
great.
Excited to be talking about these things. So I'll be, on the. I'm actually along with my very good friend Sherry Schultz, who runs people operations at Walser Automotive. She and I have a panel at Retail Forum talking about these issues.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And so, it's a front and center issue, I think, this year at the convention. I'm excited to be there.
Walser is one of the real bright, shining stars in this industry. They, in my opinion, I think they get it. They do just an outstanding job. There's so many others, but I like what I see, in the Walser organization for sure. So we will see you out there. And, for dealers that want to learn more, stop by Adam Robinson's booth at Hireology. And I think you're going to like what you see, especially as you are challenged today with trying to get that right candidate in. And the days of saying, I need 2 salespeople, so I'm going to hire 10, man, that stuff's got to stop. You just got to hire the 2 right people, and Adam can help you with that. So Adam Robinson, CEO and co-founder of Hireology, thank you so much for your time today. I know that a lot of dealers will get a lot out of your content that you shared with us.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.